Learning from adult role models who are blind or low vision, presented by Outreach Programs, the Colorado School for the Deaf and the Blind. The CSDB logo is displayed with the tagline, Learning, Thriving, Leading. Our presenter, Brian, is sitting in front of a brick wall in the CSDB library. Captions are below on screen. Title, Brian.
Hi, my name is Brian Smith, and I became legally blind at the age of 9. I had an accident in my right eye. I poked a thing in it, like a screwdriver-like device, and wasn't good. They were fortunately able to save my eye, and then after that, my eye healed up. I saved about 2,200 out of it. Then they started doing, the testing and discovered that I have a juvenile form of macular degeneration called Stargardt's. I'm a Stargardter. And probably started having vision problems even earlier than 9, probably at 7 or 8, but it wasn't diagnosed back then. I also have a brother that has Stargardt's. So there's 2 of us. And basically, I don't see centrally. I see out the sides, so it's like a black spot out in front of me. And, you work around it. My vision is fairly stable, although it has decreased some with my age. It's been a way of life. It's my friend. It's my enemy. What can I say? I try to keep it more my friend. It is who I am.
Title, Parental Involvement.
My parents, when I was young, they were really good to support me, but they didn't give us breaks. They gave us a different way of doing it, but they expected us to do it. And I think that's a really good message. I think a parent, that's a tough position to be in because you're there as love and support and encouragement, but then you're also there to not shelter them, to be tough love sometimes. And I think sometimes the worst thing you can do is shelter the child. You have to equip somebody to that day when they go out and become an adult. So my parents were really good about that when they were younger. It's funny, as they got older, then they started saying, well, son, you can't sweep the floor, let me do that. And, well, by then it was too late. And I said, Dad, I can sweep the floor,
Title, Education.
I went to high school here in Colorado Springs, to Coronado High School. I had the opportunity to go here to the deaf and blind school, but chose not. We were mainstreamed, my brother and I, and then another gentleman was at our school. We worked with Ann Hicks, who was my hero, my itinerary teacher. Itinerary teachers, I can't say enough about how big of a help they are. They're there to show you some different things, different ways of doing it, show you new different technologies. I think it's really important that the teachers show that. They're there also to be of support. They're there to be of patience, encouragement. They're also an advocate, and I really want to talk about that. I think it's critical that both teachers and parents advocate for their children, but then I also think it's critical that when you reach older as an individual, you have to start advocating for yourself. And I think that's a really good message that the teachers and the parents need to say, well, you're going to have to do this down the road. I never will forget, I went into college and I'd been going to a bunch of classes, and with this one professor, and I said, sir, when it comes time to take a test, I take the test up in the library at the CCTV because we had only one. He said, well, that ain't going to happen. And I said, we waived the time because I couldn't deal with the time limit. I said, what do you mean that ain't going to happen? He said, well, I can't allow that. I said, well, you'll be hearing from my counselor. Next day, Mr. Smith, no problem. You can take the test out of the classroom and up to the CCTV, and we'll waive the time.
Title: Career.
I own Magnesite. We are a manufacturer of CCTVs, or electronic magnification systems. I started my company in 1990. At one time, I had about 30 people working for me. I had a 7,000 square foot building. We sell products throughout the United States. Maybe some of you have heard of the Magnesite name. It's well known. I think I have some right here at the Deaf and Blind School. Sell them throughout the world. Also, I had for many, many years the National VA contract, which was a huge honor to be of service to our veterans. And I think for me, the part I love is the selling side of Magnesite. I really enjoy working with the people, the end users. I like to go to the shows. I like to be involved because I am an end user.
Title: Assistive Devices.
As far as working with blindness, as far as what kind of material I like to access, typically I like to access it in an electronic version, be it on a computer, using some enlarging programs. I like to use Zoom Text as one. There's some other ones out there. Also OCR, doing more and more with OCR, where OCR is basically where you put your document in, it scans it, it reads it for you. Or I do enlargement through Zoom Text. I do work with print, and that's where I use the CCTV, or closed circuit television, or also called a electronic magnification system. And you put your material on there and it blows it up on the screen. I use that to read. I also use that to write. I like a traditional CCTV because I can look at anything and everything, pill bottles to splinters in my kids' hands, and some of the other devices I use is, I'll use the cane some in the airport. I like to use a cane for recognition. I do feel like I'm probably moving more and more toward a cane, for also safety. I use talking products, clocks, calculators, magnifiers. I use a little electronic CCTV or electronic video device called a lookie. So it's a variety of things. One of the points I want to make there is I really encourage somebody to be very open-minded and try different devices. Matter of fact, I have a saying: if you need to stand on your head to see, stand on your head and see. Whatever works for you may not work for the next person, and that might be for one person, it might be print, the next person will be Braille. I did learn Braille when I was in high school, but I didn't keep up with it, so I just kind of know the basics. But yeah, use voice techniques, try different techniques. I just really encourage someone to be open, try different things. Blindness, I like to say, it's not a convenient thing. It's a pain, to be honest with you. And, you'll never replace the human eye. But these devices help to make it better. And the joke always is there's a briefcase or a suitcase of devices to create what the human eye does. I mean, you need something for distance, you need something for up close, you need something that's manual, you need something that's electronic, you need something for a computer. So usually a low vision person will have 15, 20 different items that they have to use to create the human eyeball. But do that, use whatever it takes to see.
Title: Advice.
Attitude is so important. I mean, you need to really try to stay positive as much as possible. We all have our hard moments. We have our hard days. We have our, hard day, hard week, hard month. But you can't stay there. If you're angry and in denial, after a while, nobody really want to be with you. So somehow you have to get a hold of your disability. You have to accept it. When I was young, I denied my blindness. Like every young person does. I just wanted to be sighted. And, it wasn't until I got into my 20s that I started to accept my blindness, and that's who I am. It's really important for me as Brian Smith to say, blindness is who I am. I can't really separate it. So for me, it's important to, I can't deny my blindness, and a lot of times I see people in the anger, the depression, or the acceptance stage, and you got to go through those stages. But you have to somehow get out on the other side and be positive and be a role model. And I think what I really would challenge is give back, you know. I mean, I did magnesite. I do magnesite. Yeah, I need to make money, or I won't help the blind to see. But to give someone else the gift of sight and not having vision yourself and not being able to see, that makes it worth it for me right there, to help other people to see. And so I do challenge people that, you help others out. Someone newly coming into, I see it all the time, they get macular degeneration, they've been sighted all their lives, and they're depressed, they're lost. And one of the things I really always encourage anybody and everybody is, hang out with get involved in a group, have some friends that are visually impaired or blind. Okay, because I think I said it earlier, it's like living in a sea of sighted people, and it's really good to have a friend that struggles with the same thing you do. You don't feel so alone. And what really happens in that is you start to teach each other things. Well, I use this device, or this is how I deal with this in dating, and this is how I deal with this in transportation. Well, how do you deal with that? I mean, for somebody that's newly lost their vision, I can't say enough that they should really get plugged in with some other people, especially people that have had it a while, that have overcome it, that have become successful, in dealing with their blindness. So I really encourage that, to really reach out and to have some fellow friends and to give back, when you get to the point where you can help the community and help the blindness community. I mean, in the end, isn't that where it kind of ends up? For most of our lives we're receiving, but hopefully we get to the day where we can give back. And then finally, I would say also that, don't give up on your dreams. I think that's something that's really important for parents and teachers. They do a great job of that, to say the sky is the limit. I would have never dreamed that I would have had a multi-million-dollar company, that I would have had all kinds of people working for me. But I kept pursuing my dream of saying I want to own my own business, and it only got bigger and bigger and bigger. And I think when I was in school, I think one of the hardest things I struggled with in school is, what do I become? Pursue your dreams. Stay positive, give back, get involved with other folks, and I think if you can do that, and maybe and to a degree, come to peace with your vision loss, your blindness, whatever your disability is, and that's the tough one. I mean, I have a saying too that and that goes back to parents and teachers and an individual, is you have to know when to respect your disability and not do something, which I tend to want to do it. And then you also need to know when you need to push through it and do it when you don't want to do it as well. So on that note, I appreciate the opportunity to talk, and good luck in life. Thank you.
Learning from adult role models who are blind or low vision has been a production of the Colorado School for the Deaf and the Blind, 33 North Institute Street, Colorado Springs, Colorado, 80903, 719-578-2100, www.csdb.org. Videography by Deb Branch and Sean Levier, copyright 2014.